beautiful people, and welcome back to the R&D show. We're your hosts. I'm Shad,
I'm Ryan.
and you're tuning into the one and only R&D show.
Chill.
Today is Wellness Wednesday, so hopefully everybody is feeling good, feeling great. And y'all know what that means. Wellness Wednesday is our mental health check-in. So we want to know how you're doing. Make sure
How you doing?
Make sure that you drop down into the comments and let us know how you're doing. So this is how you check in. You choose a heart, and you choose the green heart if you're doing great. You choose the blue heart if you got a little bit of anxiety, and you choose the red heart if you're feeling like you need some help.
And you choose the purple heart if you're doing okay. You choose the orange heart if you're doing blah. And you choose the brown heart if you're just sad.
So again, green, I'm doing great. Blue, got a little bit of anxiety. Red, help me.
Why are you doing the smizing with all of them?
I don't know what.
So purple heart, I'm doing okay. Orange heart, blah. Brown heart, sad.
Yes. So check in with us. Let us know how you're doing, how you're feeling. And it's Wellness Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
It's Wellness Wednesday. And we can check in. I am green today. I am feeling great.
I'm green. I'm feeling great. I had an excellent day at work, a decent night of sleep. Also worked on my documentary today, made some progress. So I feel pretty wonderful, pretty great.
That's what I'm talking about.
And I got my little green on, so yeah, I'm representing.
Representing. Feeling good, feeling great.
Yeah.
I want to say shout out to all of our new subscribers. Thank you so much. The comments were amazing. You subscribing is amazing. And we appreciate you. We hope you love it here at the R&D show. And we hope that you share our content and tune in. We have some great content. So be sure to watch, catch up on some of our other videos and leave some comments there. And we can have the discussion, but thank you so much. We appreciate y'all. Shout out to the new subscribers, and shout out to our A1 since day one. All you beautiful subscribers that we've been having. We appreciate y'all. Y'all showed the last video so much love. So we appreciate the support.
We appreciate the support. We know time is invaluable, and for you to spend your time with us means the world. So we appreciate it. We don't take it lightly.
Absolutely. So we're going to get in on some hot topics, and we can start actually with where we left off at, because I did a follow-up on my Instagram. I posted that I wanted some women to chime in and give me a response in regards to would they date someone that is slightly unattractive from their usual preference of dating a man that may be very attractive, and what does that look like, kind of what brought you there. There were some mixed reviews as to if they would. I had a few who said you should date up to your standard, meaning if you see yourself as an attractive individual, then that's how you should date as far as a man. So if a man knows that he's attractive, then of course he's gonna date attractive. But if he knows that he's slightly unattractive, then maybe he should date slightly unattractive. And then it got a little deeper than that. However, what was impressive to me was a few responses. One being someone who's really a beautiful girl, like gorgeous girl, pretty girl. And what she said was she used to date men that were very attractive. And of course, this is when, she was probably also younger. So I think when you grow, some things changes. And she said now, what she noticed was those men didn't show up the way that she would have liked for them to show up. And they also felt like maybe they were the prize. And so they didn't do the things that she felt like they should have done to not only just keep her, but to show her that they want a relationship with her on a certain level. And what she has found now is that dating a slightly unattractive man does everything to show her that they want to be in a relationship with her in a certain capacity, that they do care about her, that they want to give her a certain type of love that she deserves, because they feel like she's the prize. And so that since they feel like she's the prize, then they're not going to feel like, oh, I got plenty of other options.
So it's not two people competing for the same airspace in the bathroom.
You're great.
That's a very interesting point, because I think you can find attractive people who can value somebody else that's attractive. It's just finding that attractive person that's humble, that's grounded, and that knows how to love, and it's not too into themselves. But I do feel like the probability of finding someone that's really into themselves and not willing to consider you a prize, if that person is highly attractive, the probability is less likely that they're going to see you as a trophy, as a prize. But there are plenty of attractive men and female that can look at their partners and say they are the prize too. We're both prizes.
Absolutely.
I get where she's coming from, and sometimes it can go the other way around. You could date someone that's less attractive, and then they could be insecure, and that can cause a whole another level of issues, right? So it's really dating people that are secure within themselves. And if you're attractive and you're secure within yourself, you're going to be willing to praise someone else. But if you're a little bit insecure, then you're going to need all the praise. You're going to need all the validation. You're going to need to feel like you're the trophy, you're the prize. You're going to need all the validation from social media, from all these other places. But if you're a really secure person, you don't need that outside validation. You don't have to walk around like you're the prize, and you can treat somebody else like they're a prize.
Absolutely. That makes perfect sense. Another woman, also a very pretty girl, she said that things have changed. And I recognize that things have changed too. Like, I told her probably within like maybe the last 5 years. But she's like, things have changed, and she feels like gender roles aren't quite the same anymore as they used to be. And that's a part of that change. And I asked her, to go into detail when she says that. And she's like, back in the day, she felt like the men were approaching the women and were courting them and, asking for their phone number, wanting to take them out on dates, wanting to, I guess, pretty much show that they're interested. And she's like, now it's the women that now have to approach these guys, because the men are not approaching the women like they did back in the day, not as much. And besides that, the expectation is different. And also she's like, even men are saying, well, I'm the prize and I got a whole lot of other options. So if you're not going to give me what I want or show up the way that I want you to show up, then I have 5 other options. And she's like, it's very interesting because you do find yourself competing with these other options. You may not even know who they are, but you know that there's other women that you're competing against. She's like, she said last night she was like on the phone or something with a guy and was asking about, is he gonna bring her flowers? And he's like, why would I bring you flowers? Like, that's not how this works anymore, or something to that extent, as far as like, we don't do that anymore. It's almost as if you should be bringing him flowers, is what I was getting from. So it's very interesting. And what I did tell her is I can understand, and I see that, because even now, just from observing when I'm in certain social settings, I do see like more of the guys just being a little bit of standoffish, not really approaching the females. And I told her sometimes that may have come from back in the day, again, maybe some years ago, when we would approach certain females and they would have like maybe a stink attitude, or they had pretty girl syndrome, where they feel like they were just too pretty to talk to us, or they were stuck up, or I can have any man in here that I want, that type of mentality. And I think sometimes being turned down so many times or feeling some type of way, you start to shift a little bit too. Like, no, I'm not approaching these females no more, because when I do approach them, this is what happens. When I approach these women, this is what happens. And I don't like the way that feels. And she was like, I could see that as well. And that could be part of it too. And I think that is a little piece of it. But again, music, reality TV, and just the social dynamics of things have shifted so much that mentalities have shifted when it's come to relationships and wanting to date someone. And a lot of times now, people are just okay being single.
Yeah, I think the gender norms have been kind of blurred because of the reasons you're saying, but also because women have kind of stepped more to the forefront. They're in corporate America, they're the breadwinners. They're taking on more of an alpha type role of leadership in the households. I think some men see these women, like black women, are the most educated group of people out there, and probably one of the top earning in terms of income um, populations as well. So I think black men see that as well, and so now they may not feel as apt to buy dinner. It's like, okay, well, you're more educated than me, you have a better job than me, so they may not be as apt as well. So I can see that influencing it, as well as what you said, like the rejection, being turned down, and people. I think just any just going out to a club and being in any type of environment, people are just less likely to approach you, whether male, female, female, male, 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 female, female. Because I feel like it's just basically you have social media, you have all these other ways to reach out. So it's in general, people just standing around looking at you and then maybe trying to reach out to you via social media a little bit later on. But people in general are not as apt to come up to you.
I think social media has definitely changed the game of wanting to just put yourself on Front Street and have the conversation, initiate, hey, I think you're beautiful. I would like to take you out. Tell me about you. It's more so I'd rather have that conversation in someone's DM, which I don't know. I think that there are pros and cons. It just depends.
I mean, I think one of the pros is you can kind of vet someone by looking at their social media. You can see what they're putting out in the atmosphere and seeing if that's like the type of energy that you want to be around. So if you're concerned with someone being egotistical and being the trophy and not seeing you as a trophy, you probably can look at their social media and get a lot of that. Now, you can't get everything. You have to have some interpersonal interactions in person, but there are some things you can get from social media. But some of the stuff on social media, is a facade.
Yeah.
So, but it is, I guess, more information.
Yeah, you get a good idea of, you can get a good idea of how someone could be based off of the things that they post. And another response that I got was beautiful girl saying that some men come up to her and are just like, well, they wouldn't date her because they feel like she only dates basketball players and football players. Like, without even having the conversation, just really approaching and be like, well, I wouldn't really date you because I feel like you date only sports players.
Well, I say to them, they should be a little bit more secure in who they are and know their worth and know that they can get somebody on the same level that an NBA player could get as well. So the men that are confident, they're going to step to you.
Yeah.
If you lack some type of confidence and you might be a slight insecure, you might be more hesitant. It doesn't mean that you're insecure. It's just that you may not be quite as sure of yourself. And this, female, male, whoever may be extremely attractive, and they may be slightly intimidated from them. But you want someone to have some courage, but I wouldn't say that's a red flag. I'd say it's a yellow flag.
So now you got to convince them. Otherwise, is that what the yellow flag is?
The yellow flag is that, someone just might be just slightly intimidated by that person. That person may be super attractive, and but it doesn't mean they're not secure.
Right.
They just see someone that's on another level, and it's like, man, can I really? But investigate. They still may be secure in certain ways. So it doesn't mean they're insecure. It just means that proceed cautiously. That's what yellow means. A yellow flag.
I understand that. Also I believe that there's somebody for everybody, right? And with that being said, it's all about where you place yourself. It's a time and a place thing as well. So sometimes you're not going to meet what you desire in a certain setting. And I said this before, you have to open yourself up to being in different spaces in order to meet different types of people. And I was talking to another woman and I was just saying, it's interesting that a lot of times, because she even said majority, there's the women outnumber the men. Like there can be, and I was saying, that sounds good. There can be at least 10 women to 1 man, right? But then you go to a place like Spellhouse's Homecoming, which is Spellman and Morehouse, and you see men everywhere. And you see a lot of men. Is that a good place to meet a man? And in my mind, I would think that it is, because you have these Morehouse men, you have these alumni men that went to Morehouse, you have these educated men that are in this space, who probably have great careers at this point or on their way to have great careers. And so is that a place that women could go in order to meet a man?
I think so. I mean, I think so. You know, I guess plenty of good men out there at these homecoming events, educated, but also sometimes when men get to a certain age, if you're dating a man probably around 40 or 45 and they haven't been married, there may be a reason why they haven't been married. Maybe they just enjoy the single life. Maybe they're used to being a player. Maybe they know they're the top 1%. They are really, really educated. They do have a great job. They can get anybody they want. And so then they start treating you like, not your worth, because they realize they have a bunch of options because they are, cream de la cream. But I do think, Morehouse Homecoming could be a great place. Church could be a great place. Any young professional organizations could be a great place. So, yeah, for sure.
Some of these conferences.
Yeah.
I mean, I came across something where this Black woman, she was saying, women, you're looking for these men in the wrong spaces. You need to be going to certain conferences. Like there's the Black Tech conferences. There's these other conferences that take place where you have all these professional men. But then again, like you just said, sometimes these men know that they're sought after, and they know that they're these professional men, and they know they're in a certain tax bracket. So they're just like, I know that somebody's going to be coming, looking for me, but am I really interested? Or do I play the game? Or is it just going to be for a weekend only and then I go back to my normal life? So I don't know, it's very interesting the way that we are now, in today's society. A lot of stuff has just shifted and it's changed. And it's not that it's a good or a bad thing, it's just interesting. And I think it's important to know yourself. And when you know yourself, you're able to find yourself in a certain space where not only are you okay with where you're at, relationship status, but you also know that when it's your time, then it's your time. Yeah. And so it's not something that you're crying about, you're depressed about, oh, I'm so lonely, things of that nature.
As you know what they say, when you're not looking for it, that's when you find
exactly
something. So that you're out there being desperate, really, really putting yourself out there. It's when you're comfortable and you're probably open that you may find that person to be with.
So I just wanted to share some of that because I thought it was very interesting to get more perspectives from different women and their experience. And all of them are still actively dating or trying to date, but this has just been their experience thus far. And those age ranges are from maybe 44 to, I want to say 30. Mm-hmm. Those are some of the different perspectives that I got, and it's kind of one and the same. Mm-hmm. And I will say this, one of the younger women who responded, she said there's this guy and he embodies like the package of him is everything that she desires in a man, but she's not attracted to him. But it just has everything, and she's like, this is what I'm faced with right now, and I'm trying to figure out, how do I be okay with him being slightly less attractive than I would like? And what I told her is, you don't force something, right? Mm-hmm. So basically, you want to always do what makes you feel good and what makes you happy. And if you're going to force a situation, eventually you're going to grow out of that situation because it wasn't authentic. You want to do what's authentic to you and honor yourself. And yes, he can be an amazing man and you're not taking that away from him, but maybe he's just not the amazing man for you. And he can be an amazing man for someone else who is attracted to him, even beyond the physical. Because sometimes you the things that, which is another great point, sometimes the things that a man is able to do makes them even more attractive, because the way that they can make you feel makes you more attracted to them, if that makes sense. And I did hear that from someone. She's like, yeah, sometimes it's the things that he does that I'm just like, wow. Even if I felt he was slightly unattractive in my eyes, the things in the way that he caters to me and the way that he, shows up for me is so attractive.
Mm-hmm.
And it pulls me in even more. And so I really just, I told her to do what makes her feel good at the end of the day. And it's not that you're letting him down or letting yourself down. You just want to be sure. You don't want to get in a situation just because, he treats you amazing. He does all these things, but in your mind, you're like, it's tough for me to look at him because I'm not attracted to him that way. And that could change, depending on the time and more time spent and more things that occurred, that could change. But I thought that was interesting.
It is very interesting. We also got to be careful that you're not friend zoning people who would be a great partner just because it offers some stability and you're used to drama and you're used to, you mistake these trauma bonds and these ups and downs and these cat and mouse games, these highs and lows as love. And when something is just normal and stable and there's a healthy respect and a healthy love going back and forth, and you're not experiencing drama, don't mistake that as you're not attracted to that person. Or I don't feel the passion, I don't feel the desire. But I do think you can just not be attracted to a person. But I think you also need to investigate further why you're not attracted to that person.
Absolutely.
Is it something deeper?
That's good. Absolutely. And again, self-work and self-love is the best, and that's where you always start. And when you have done that work to heal what may need to be healed from past relationships or childhood trauma or whatever the case may be, then you see clearer. Mm-hmm. Your lens is more clear. Mm-hmm. It's not as foggy. It's not scratched up. And sometimes you have a whole new pair of glasses. And so you really can see what's for you. And your expectations and your standards may have changed once you put those glasses on because you're in a different space in your life. So. Yeah.
And you're not self-sabotaging because you know your worth. You know you deserve this. And you're not looking at situations saying, I'm not attracted to this person for whatever reason, when really he's a perfect person for you. Like, you really deep down inside feel like I don't deserve this. This is not reinforcing the story that I've told myself all my life that I'm unworthy. This man is telling me, or this woman is telling me that I'm worthy, but it feels uncomfortable. And so you're not trying to run away from that. You're willing to accept it. You're willing to move forward with it. So self-worth, it starts there.
Absolutely. And so to all the men and all the women, do your life work. Make sure that you're investing in self so that you are prepared. When it's in front of you, you can recognize it and you're not running away from it, especially if it's green flags that are present. You sometimes you never know if you're blocking your blessing by running away from something just based solely off of physical. Mm-hmm. So we have to be careful when it comes to that.
And the physical, that fades, right? Yeah. It's the friendship, it's the love, it's the stability, it's the security, it's those taking trips together, all these things that can make it a long-term relationship, a lifetime partnership, or a long-time partnership. So those characteristics are important.
So again, we say good luck to everybody that's out in the dating world. The dating pool doesn't have to have pee in there. Put a little bleach in there so that you can clear it out. But good luck on
this. And maybe that bleach is that self-worth.
Yeah.
It's vested in you. Exactly. So you can see it, like he says, you can see it clearly. It's no longer pee. You have clarity. Yeah. And you see through all the other stuff, and you see someone that
you see all the way down to the bottom. You're like, ooh, there's some, okay. Yeah. That's where you was at this whole time. Okay, I just couldn't see you. I'm gonna pour some more in there.
Yeah, yeah, for sure.
So good luck to everyone, and give us some feedback on this as well. I know we got some feedback from the last video when we touched on this a little bit. So give us some more feedback. Let us know what you think about this. And moving on, which is going to also kind of coincide a little bit with this, is I want to talk about K. Michelle. So K. Michelle, I feel like she's kind of been notoriously known as like dating different people and things not working out or whatever. But she recently just said on a live that she doesn't like it when a man cries. She doesn't like when a man cries because when a man cries, she doesn't feel protected. She feels like, okay, so if he crying, am I supposed to be a man? Like, am I supposed to pretty much hold us down? Like, how am I supposed to look at this man crying?
Instead of looking at vulnerability as a source of strength, like the ability for someone to be emotional and to share their feelings and to open up around you is a source of strength. And a lot of times when people are protecting that, they may not be as strong as you might think they are. And there's a reason why they're protecting that, because they're afraid if they show these feelings that, they're going to be judged or whatnot. But it takes a very secure person, and especially a secure man, to be able to cry and be emotional. So to me, that's a sign of source of strength.
I was just about to say that, and I posted. I don't know what led me to, but I got on like this emotional piece when it comes to men and how we can be emasculated if we maybe are sensitive or emotional and we get tear down. So it's like you're willing to tear us down if that's the case, but on the other side of that, if we hold and harbor all that in and we now react and respond emotionally, now we're the problem. So to say with your chest that you don't like when men cry and you don't feel protected says a lot about you and not about that man. It says a lot about the work that you have not done in your life, the healing that still needs to take place, and the fact that you're not ready for a relationship. You're not ready for a good man, because one thing's for certain, two things is for sure, is God created us to feel and to heal. God also created us to cry, because tears aren't a sign of weakness, but it's a reminder that you're alive. You got to think about when you're first born and you get smacked, the baby cries. That is a sign that this baby is alive. This baby is in this world and this baby is here. When we are able to shed tears, think about when you don't shed those tears and everything just sits here on your chest and you feel that. But when you start to shed those tears, that starts to become lighter and lighter, because what you're doing is you're releasing whatever that is through those tears. You're releasing the pain, you're releasing the disappointment, you're releasing the depression, you're releasing the heartache, you're releasing the struggle, you're releasing whatever it is that is trying to keep you and hold you hostage in this bondage type of situation. And the only way to heal is by feeling. A man and a woman has to be able to feel, be vulnerable to what it is, because when you're able to feel it, then you're able to heal it. But if you can't feel it and you don't allow yourself to get to that level of being vulnerable and crying and shedding those tears, then you're holding all that in, and that becomes more bags added to your baggage. You know what I mean? So now you got more baggage. You got baggage on top of baggage. You got baggage on top of baggage. And what that does to your mental health is it compromises your mental health. And when you get in this other relationship, you could potentially be this explosive person because you were never provided an outlet to express how you felt emotionally. Not reacting and responding, but being able to just have that moment and cry in her arms or cry in his arms, and you protect them in that moment. This man, when you're saying this about this man needs protection in this moment. It's not always about you. And that's where we have to make sure that we're doing the work to understand everything is not about me. If this person is being vulnerable, let me be there for them. Let me show them that I care and it's okay. Let me provide them with the protection that they may need in this moment and not use this against them later on. You know what I mean? So it really bothered me that she was able to make this statement, because we're dealing with so many different struggles as a man when it comes to, okay, he can't cry, but he can't be sassy. He can't do this, but he can't talk back. I don't want him to do this, but then he don't do it. And it's just like, we all would just want to win at the end of the day. But when you continue to put these narratives out there, you got certain people watching this thinking that it's okay.
Yeah, and does she want the man to be emotional at all? Like you're saying, don't be emotional. I'm sure she wouldn't like that if he didn't have any feelings towards, being happy, joyful around her. Like, I guess she's trying to pick and choose what emotions he has, but he's a full human with a full range of emotions. And you gotta allow him to be that, to express that, and just really just be himself. And you covering him in that moment, that's gonna better aid him to cover you in your moment of weakness and want to be there to protect you in your moment of weakness, because it's that mutual support, because it's a partnership.
Yeah, and you should want to be each other's protection. You should want to be able to be a safe space for each other, because if I can't be a safe space with you, then why am I with you? It makes no sense. If something was to happen to somebody that I love, like my grandparent or my mom, that you're telling me that I can't break down and I can't have a moment with you.
Yeah. And you just think about the world that we live in is so hardened. And you want to be able to come home to your house, to your partner, the person you're in a relationship with, and be able to just be yourself, to be able to let loose, to be able to open up and not have to be so hardened and put on that same face or whatever facade or whatever you may put on when you go out into the world. But it's important to be able to have that space, that safe space when you come home, just to be able to be vulnerable, to be able to be yourself, to have those deep conversations and emotional conversations that help both of you guys grow.
Absolutely. And it just brings me back to a conversation that I had with one of my cousins, and I was just, telling her, because they dealt with the death, and her husband refuses to cry. And he says pretty much because he doesn't think that it's good for the kids, they have a son and a daughter, to see him cry. And I said, that's actually very good and healthy for them to see that, because they need to be reminded, one, that you're a human being, and two, that it's okay for a man to express his emotions in this way, and to actually see that he can start here, but he doesn't have to stay there. Because the Bible says, weeping may endure for the night, but joy comes in the morning. So that means that God did not create us to weep all of our lives. It's just in those moments, but then you get up that next morning and you feel better. And even a small percentage of better is joy, because you're not in that same space. That's why I say you can start there, but you don't have to stay there. So we have to be careful of how we handicap ourselves and enable ourselves in these situations when these are teaching moments for other people. Our children are learning. And I always have made it a point to make sure that my son was able to see me be emotional if the time called for that. If I'm authentically in a space of being emotional, maybe because, I just got news that something happened to somebody that I love, or I'll take it back to, there's some things that happened with Sandy Hook, and all of those children were, unalive. That touched my heart, because I couldn't imagine getting that phone call and they're telling me my baby and this happened. When I picked my son up from school that day, I just remember grabbing him and I just was crying. He may not have understood the reason, and we talked about it later, and he probably didn't even understand it then, but I grabbed him and I just cried and just told him how much I love him and care about him, because that could happen to anybody. And so, like I said, I always made it a point for him to just understand, I'm your dad, but I'm also human. And as a man, I'm human. And I don't want you to become a man one day who doesn't know how to express his emotions, and you hold everything in until you explode. So yeah, that just did not sit well with me, and I wanted to have that conversation. Like, what is she doing? Like, let's not do that.
Address it.
Yes, absolutely. Like, what are we doing? What are we doing? And that then segues into the Carlos Collins situation. So 25-year-old Carlos Collins, who was educated black man, a nurse, was unalived by his ex-boyfriend, not current, but ex-boyfriend, Marcus, who was also, I believe, an ex-police officer as well. this story and many other stories are stories that I'm passionate about because I speak about this all the time. I speak about relationships all the time. I speak about, where my lens is when it comes to relationships. I speak about the dynamics of what we can do to make these things better when it comes to relationships and the way that we relationship with each other. I always start off by saying a relationship is not ownership. A relationship is an experience, right? And so you get to experience each other. And that experience can be amazing. That experience can be for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. Some people are having this experience right now and they've been together for 50 years. And that's a beautiful thing. Some people had their experience for 6 months and it was 6 months of greatness and it's over, but that was a beautiful thing. And so it's just an experience. And again, on top of that, with that experience and that relationship, you don't get to possess that person. You do not get to control that person. They are not objects and things. So you don't have any type of power over anyone. And once that experience is over, you should leave that person in peace and not in pieces. I'm not saying that you're not going to feel if a relationship ends and you were heavily invested and you were loving this person and you cared a whole lot. That's natural. That's human nature to feel. But that doesn't mean you get to destroy. That doesn't mean that you get to harm, hurt, and or danger. That just means you get to leave them in peace and you leave in peace. And so with this young man, he clearly was trying to leave his ex in peace. He even went and got a restraining order. So he was doing everything that should be done to try to protect himself and also to make it known, hey, this is over, going about your life and I'm going on about my life. But unfortunately, some people do not know how to accept that. And so what he did was he ended up at his apartment. How he got in, I do not know. If he invited him in, because some people can be convincing. I know people that like to pop up at people's houses with all the tears. You look through the little people and you're like, this person got all these tears and they got flowers. And so you're thinking to yourself, maybe it's nothing. We can just have this conversation and I'll make it clear again like we're over. Who knows? That could have been what happened. Shows up, he opens the door, lets him in. And whatever took place, whatever words were exchanged, if that, he ends up shooting him. And not only did he shoot him to death, but he also used an axe. So he was intentional about, I guess, just destroying him, period. He was intentional about that, and then he went on the run. The good thing is he's been captured and he is in jail right now. And so it made me feel so disappointed and upset because here we are yet again, another situation where another human being another life has been lost to the hands of someone who they were in a relationship with because this person does not know how to let go, And it takes me back to some things that I always put out there in the universe, in the atmosphere, on social media in general is never allow anyone to love you to death. I know a lot of times these little sayings to some people are just, it's nothing, it's just a saying. Oh, I want somebody to be obsessed with me, or I want somebody to love me to death, or I love you to death. That should never be an option. Because loving someone to death can mean just that. How about we choose to love people to life? I always say to people, I love you to life and back. And I know sometimes people may read that and be like, where did this come from? This is new. It's because I wholeheartedly love you to life and back. Because I want you to live a good life, a life full of love, a life where you know that you are loved and I'm one of these people that do love you in this life. Sometimes words have more power than what we think. That loving someone to death, that feeling like you need someone, no, you don't need anybody. I don't want nobody to need me and I don't want to need nobody, but we have the option to want somebody. And if you want somebody because you're in a space where you can want somebody opposed to needing them, that also sets a different type of tone and precedence in your life and in your relationship. Because a lot of times when people are saying, well, I need a man, or I need a woman, or I need, are they in a space to actually really receive it in a healthy way? Or are they needing it for certain reasons that are not really healthy, but in their mind, it's healthy? You know what I mean? So it's like, we have to just be very careful of narratives and language that we use. This young man did not deserve that. Nobody deserves that. Like, Marcus did not have the right to take his life because he did not want to be with him. That's an example of loving somebody to death, but that's not your choice. You don't get to do that. You could have left this young man in peace, just like all of those women that have lost their lives to, men as well. Why not leave them in peace? Why in your mind, if I can't have you, nobody can have you, so I'm going to love you to death?
Well, I think a lot of times that narrative is perpetuated in songs, on TV. You see everything, I'm nothing without you, 1 + 1 = 2, I'll die for you, Bonnie and Clyde, ride or die. All these things help perpetuate that narrative. So I think that's one. Two, what is really critical here is mental health.
Yeah.
Right? A lot of this stuff stems from a lack of getting mental health, getting therapy, battling some issues there. So addressing that, because I feel like it's rational to kill someone. And if you do kill someone, they're no longer going to be yours anyway. So it doesn't really make sense. So even if you think you possess and own someone, now they're gone. Now you don't possess or own them at all. You don't even get to see them physically. So to me, it's not even rational to kill someone. So I think a lot of this starts with making sure people are getting the mental health support that they need. And so I think that's where we need to move the conversation to, is mental health, and also what you're talking about, the narrative. Language has power. What are the words that we're saying to each other? But some of this stems back to mental health.
Absolutely. And there's life and death in the power of the tongue. And so sometimes what you're speaking is also how you're living and how you're going to act. And so you just have to be very careful in the language and the way that you speak and the things that you do. And on top of that, let's stop acting like we really know people until we've taken the time to really know people. What do I mean by that? You never know how someone is until you see how they react and how they respond when they're angry and upset. That can change your whole idea of how you want a relationship with somebody. Does this person have mental and emotional intelligence? Does it seem like they're lacking in some areas?
Or mental, emotional discipline.
Yeah.
Just because you feel something, you're emotional, feeling, can you control those emotions?
Absolutely.
Can you act from a rational standpoint? And sometimes that just comes with life experiences, learning from mistakes in the past, and say, I'm not gonna do this again. I don't like the way I felt. I don't like the way this person was impacted. Sometimes it just could be innate, but do you have the mental capacity to control your emotions, to investigate your emotions, to take a deep breath, to not respond immediately? Those things are so critical.
And also recognizing the signs.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I think that, okay, say it's your first time in a situation, some stuff was weird and it was different, and you're like, okay, I get how this person is now. Hopefully they don't do that again. And they do it again and they do it again. And it's taking you some time to get out of that situation. I can understand, okay, this is my first experience. I didn't know how to really navigate through it, and I was trying to figure myself out through this situation. You have lived to see another day. Mm-hmm. Now you've gotten yourself out of that situation. When you know better, you're supposed to do better. So now I'm recognizing the signs, and I know you got one time to show me, and it's one and done. It's not, I'm going to give you another chance. It's none of those things, because history has shown that if they show you one time, they're going to show you a second time, a third time, a fourth time, and you might not get a fifth time at life. And so we have to be very careful about giving even a second chance when we see the way that someone behaves when they're angry and when they're the way that they respond and they react. And so,
how do you balance that with grace? People are not perfect, right?
you know,
People make a mistake in a moment. They may, God forbid, they may violate in a moment. They may cheat in a moment. They may do all these things, but just because they do it once, is that who they are? So how do you kind of make that decision on whether like this person does something one time and it's time to move on versus this person, this is going to be a pattern, or is it you don't even give a chance to see it? You showed me very own who you are. I'm not even gonna hang around here. Is it like looking at the bigger picture, looking at all behaviors? Do you have any, insight there? It's a difficult question, I think, to answer.
I don't think it's difficult at all.
Okay.
I think that's actually a good question. And I will say that this is my own personal perspective and POV. A mistake and a choice is two different things.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm rushing out of the house and let's just say the lighting isn't the best, I typically leave the house and it's dark or whatever, and I use my light on my phone. And I put on some shoes real fast and I leave and I get to work and I realize I got on my son's shoes. That was a mistake, right? If I put my hands on somebody because I'm angry and I'm upset, that's a choice. There's no way to make a mistake when you're being violent towards someone. That's not a mistake. You have chosen this. You have intentionally chosen to become violent toward this person. There's no way to make a mistake when it comes to violence. This is a choice that you've made.
So to make a bad choice in that moment.
You've made a terrible choice. You did not make a terrible mistake, because that's like saying, well, you then picked up this and you hit this person. Oh, that was a mistake. No, you did it intentionally. Just like you got in this person's face and you balled up your fist and you reached and you hit them, that was by choice. There's no way to make a mistake when you're being violent towards somebody. So I feel like that is simple. That's where the difference lies.
What about when it comes to cheating and someone makes a choice?
That's still a choice.
Right.
There's no way to make a mistake when it comes to
a choice.
cheating.
So should you still like...
So I think that the thing about being, to me, violence is, for me, just one and done.
Right.
Violence in a relationship, to me, and it could also be because I grew up in a household several times where there were some violent situations, and seeing that as a boy who wanted to react and respond in a violent way to protect, not to just be violent, but to protect. It never felt good knowing that I could only do so much, being a kid. So for me, violence is just a no for me. When it comes to cheating, which is also a choice, one thing that I know about cheating is it's not about the other person. So somebody that steps out in their relationship, they're not stepping out because of the person that they're with. It has nothing to do with them. It's their own personal choice and desire to do that. As far as grace being given, I think it depends on that person.
But you said that somebody made a choice. This is a reflection of who they are. They're going to keep doing it. So does that mean in this situation, that person, if they cheat one time, are they going to keep doing it? You said you don't give any grace when people make certain choices, even with like violence. They made a choice, no grace. They're going to keep doing it. That's who they are. Cheating, choice, whatever it may be. It may be something else. It may be, okay, they don't clean up after themselves. That's a choice or whatever. I'm not giving.
I think it's a case by case type of thing.
Yeah.
I can't say that when it comes to cheating and other examples. I'm speaking
only on violence.
So
only on violence.
Only on violence.
Okay.
No grace when it comes to violence.
Okay.
You don't get any type of grace when it comes to violence, because what was the reason? There's never a reason to take somebody else's life.
Right. I think I was challenging more on the point you said this person made a choice. This is who they are. And they're gonna keep doing it again.
That's violence.
But with other things, they may not keep doing it again.
They may not keep doing it again.
But with violence, they will keep doing it again.
Absolutely. Okay. I have not heard of, and it could be people out there, but I have not personally heard of anyone who was violent before who's not violent today.
You mean? I've heard of people be violent in one relationship, not violent in this relationship.
I haven't.
So
I haven't seen it.
Because I know some people are with this situation, like they've been violent with this man, this woman, and then they get in a new situation, and maybe the atmosphere is different, and they wouldn't dare. And that other person may set up their structure that way.
But you can be saying that they wouldn't dare, but that's still within them.
Yeah.
Just in case, say that person, they're having a heated argument, and that person gets a little too close, and they just immediately react because that's what they're used to doing. It's already there.
But we hope people grow and change and shift. Same thing with any other behaviors that people may experience. People
Right.
don't always make the best choices, and they end up growing. And they learn from hurting someone in one relationship. They don't want to do that again. They learn from all these things. But I do understand, like, violence is a major thing. We don't condone violence. We take it seriously. It is the biggest red flags of red flags, and that is just not just physical violence, but it's also mental.
Right.
When someone, mental violence, when someone abusive mentally as well, because that can even be long-lasting damage when someone abusing you from a mental standpoint as well.
Absolutely. And my whole thing when it comes to that is I was just focusing on just that subject matter because this is what happened in that relationship as far as the violence went. And to me, and to a lot of people, because the story has gotten bigger and a lot of people have now seen this story and heard about it, and they're impacted by it because they're trying to figure out, how is this happening again? How does this keep
And
happening?
this story happened literally 6 or 7 years ago. There was a young man at Columbia University who was getting his PhD, and I think his ex-boyfriend killed him as well. And so this is just very reminiscent of something that's already happened. And it's been happening. It's happening to men. It's happening to women.
Yeah, it's happening.
And so it's just so important. And I think a lot of times in same-sex relationships, people don't talk about the violence that's happening because it's not kosher to talk about it. And then police officers don't take it seriously. So it's important that we take abuse in any situation seriously.
Very serious. No matter who it is, whoever your partner is, always take that serious. And no, it's not human nature and okay just because it's two men for them to be violent toward each other in a fight. Oh, they're supposed to. No, they're not supposed to. Just like two women are not supposed to be violent toward each other in a fight. And just like a man and a woman not supposed to be violent toward each other into a fight. None of that makes any sense. And I know some people push that narrative and try to make it normal and okay, but it's not normal and it's not okay. It's dangerous, and it's something that we all have to work on bringing to light and helping to change. And also holding people accountable, like, hey, what are you doing? Like, there's some work that needs to be done.
And guess what? A lot of this stuff starts with your own personal self-worth. When you value yourself, you're not going to accept certain things. And so, even with the other person, when they have some level of self-worth, they're not going to act in a certain way that could actually hurt someone, physically hurt someone, because they value their own life. They value their time. And so, like, a lot of stuff is doing a personal work. And so when you value yourself and you have self-worth, you're not going to allow, things like this to happen to you. And if it does happen to you, you're going to walk away.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I just wanted to shine the light on this story, just because I feel like, we just got to do better. Everybody has got to do better. I said this in another video that I can barely scroll TikTok without a similar story coming up of, a black man unaliving a black woman and her kids, or her sister and her mom. Like, it's something that I see almost every single day, and it's disheartening, it's heartbreaking, it's hurtful, and it's just like we just have a lot of work to do when it comes to creating a more healthy narrative when it's about loving someone, being in love with someone, and relationshiping with people.
And I don't get why people would do this and then kill themselves. I mean, just kill yourself and then you have to deal with everything else.
Right.
Like, don't take that violence out on somebody else. And I don't really want anyone to kill themselves, but if you're going to choose to hurt or harm somebody else and then you're going to then in turn kill yourself, I mean, you can just unalive yourself first, and then you have to deal with anything else.
You gotta feel nothing.
You gotta feel nothing. You gotta feel nothing, and so yeah, man, that's tough to hear. These situations keep on happening, and it's really, really, really tough to hear.
So we're definitely sending so much love and prayers and light to Carlos Collins and Carlos Collins' entire family, and his friends, and anyone that's been impacted by anything close to this. So much, love, light, and peace and prayers, because we all deserve to live our life We all deserve to have a healthy type of love, and we all deserve to be in peace if that situation expires. So we thank y'all so much for tuning in to the R&D show. We hope that something sparked your interest or gave you an aha moment, compelled you to want to start the conversation down in the comments, to leave a comment or whatever the case may be. Thank y'all so much for watching. Until next time, take care of yourself and each other, and be sure to subscribe to the R&D show, to share this video, to thumbs up, like this video, and again, leave us some comments. So thank y'all so much. God bless. Happy Wellness Wednesday. Till next time.